They tied me to the tree before the morning sun could rise. The rope cut my skin, and my long neck trembled like a branch in the wind. Around me, the whole village stood in silence. Even the children who once played near my mother's hut hid behind their mothers, peeking at me with fear in their eyes. The air was cold, but my tears burned my face. I heard someone whisper, "She's not one of us. She's a curse. My name is Amara, and I was born with a neck as long as a giraffe." The day I came into this world, the midwife screamed and dropped me. My mother fainted. My father ran out of the hut, shouting that the gods had punished his bloodline. That was the first sound I ever heard, the sound of rejection. As I grew, the villagers avoided me. When I fetched water, they whispered. When I tried to help at the market, they spat on the ground and told me to leave. My neck made me different, and in our village, different meant evil. Now, standing by the river, tied to a tree, I could smell the fear of the people who came to watch. They said the water goddess, who ruled the great river Nyasa, demanded that I be thrown into her waters to end the drought. They believed the river stopped flowing because of me, the cursed child who made the gods angry. "Do it now before the sun rises," shouted Elder Juma, his voice hard like dry wood. "If we don't give her to the river, our crops will die again." My mother's sobs cut through the crowd. "Please, she's my only child, she's not evil." But my father stood beside the elders, his face cold, his hands steady. He didn't even look at me. The men carried me to the riverbank. I felt the mud under my bare feet. My heart beat like a drum inside my chest. I tried to speak, but no sound came. My neck shook, heavy with fear. The water in the river was black and quiet. The moonlight made it shine like a mirror of pain. They pushed me closer. My legs trembled. I thought of all the nights I had watched the giraffes walking near the forest, tall and proud, their necks long like mine. I used to think maybe I was like them. Maybe the gods made me that way for a reason. But the people said I was a monster, not a miracle. As I looked at the water, I whispered to myself, if I die, maybe peace will come. Then, a sudden wind rose from the river. It was not like any wind I had felt before. It was cold, sweet, and full of whispers. The villagers stepped back. The river began to glow faintly blue. The ropes around me loosened by themselves, and I fell to my knees. "What is that?" someone cried. The water rippled, and out of it came a woman made of light and mist. Her eyes shone like stars, her hair flowed like the river itself. She was tall, her skin dark like the night sky, and her voice was soft but full of thunder. "I am Mama Nyasa, the keeper of these waters," she said. "And you, child, are mine." The people screamed and ran backward. Some fell into the mud. My mother covered her face. My father dropped to his knees. Shaking, Mama Nyasa touched my neck. The pain disappeared. The marks from the rope faded. Her hand was cool and gentle. "They called you cursed," she said. "But you are a gift, my chosen one. You were born different because you carry my mark. Yet they tried to kill you." Her eyes turned sharp, like lightning before rain. The river roared, trees bent, the ground shook. The villagers began to beg, "Forgive us, Mama Nyasa. We didn't know." But she did not listen. "You will feel the pain you gave this child," she said. "You will carry her burden, but yours will be heavy and ugly." Before anyone could move, a blinding light shot from the river. The people screamed. I closed my eyes, and all I heard was the sound of water crashing and bones twisting. When I opened my eyes again, the whole village was crying. Their necks were long, longer than mine, but they were wrinkled, swollen, and bent. They touched their throats in horror. Some fell to the ground, gasping. Mama Nyasa looked at me. "You, Amara, will live. You will walk free. But never forget this night. The river remembers." And with that, she vanished into the glowing water, leaving the air silent and cold again. I stood there, weak but alive. The same people who had called me cursed now crawled on the ground, crying for mercy, But the goddess was gone. That night, the moon stayed bright. The river flowed again, stronger than before. But no one in the village slept peacefully after that day, because when they looked into the water, they saw their reflection, and the long, ugly neck that reminded them of their sin. The morning after the river glowed, silence fell on our village. No rooster crowed, no laughter came from the children's huts. Only the sound of people crying echoed through the valley. When I stepped outside, I saw them, all of them, crawling on the ground, touching their necks and moaning. Their necks had grown long, thin, and wrinkled like old tree roots. They looked heavy and painful. Some could not even stand straight. They called my name, begging for help, but I had no words. My mother was sitting by our hut, her eyes swollen. Her neck was long too, though softer than the others. She reached out to me. "Amara, my child," she whispered, "forgive us. We didn't see you for who you were." Tears filled my eyes. I held her hand. "Mama, you tried to save me. It's not you I blame." But when I looked at my father, I felt a knot tighten in my chest. He was kneeling in the dust, his neck twisted and dry. He could hardly breathe. For the first time in my life, he looked at me with eyes full of shame. "Amara," he gasped, "I was wrong. I should have protected you." I wanted to forgive him, but something deep inside me refused. The memory of that night, the rope, the whispers, the fear, still burned like fire. So I turned away. From that day, the village was never the same. The men stopped going to the farm because they could not carry their tools. Their necks hurt too much. The women no longer danced at the moon festival because every movement made their necks ache. The children stopped running because their heads felt too heavy. The drought ended. The river flowed again, but no one could enjoy the water. Whenever they came near it, they saw their reflection and cried. People started leaving. Some said they would find new land far from Mama Nyas's waters. But those who tried never made it far. The curse followed them. The farther they went, the worse their pain became, until they crawled back, begging the river for mercy. I stayed in the village. I had nowhere else to go. Every morning, I went to the river to wash my face. The water was always calm, shining like glass. Sometimes, when the wind blew softly, I heard a voice, the voice of Mama Nyasa, whispering through the waves. "Do not pity them," she said. "Let them learn. Let the river teach." Still, I felt lonely. I would sit under the tree where they once tied me, watching the giraffes move across the plains. They walked tall and proud, their long necks beautiful in the sunlight. I wondered why people had hated me for looking like them. One day, a small boy came to me. His name was Timo, and he was one of the few children born after the curse. His neck was normal. He sat beside me and asked, "Auntie Amara, is it true you were born before everyone's neck grew long?" I nodded. "Yes, little one, I was." He looked at me with curious eyes. "But yours looks nice. Why do theirs look bad?" I smiled sadly, because mine was given in peace, and theirs in punishment. He was quiet for a moment, then said softly, "I think you look like the giraffes. They are beautiful." His words made me smile for the first time in years. Maybe the world would be kinder to his generation. Maybe not all hearts would stay hard forever. But the curse never left. As the years passed, the villagers grew weaker. Their long necks became heavy and crooked. Some died young, unable to bear the pain. They built smaller huts because they could no longer raise their heads high. The village that once danced and sang now only whispered prayers to the river. Sometimes, when someone was close to death, they called my name. "Amara," they would say, "tell Mama Nyasa we are sorry." But I could not. The goddess never appeared to me again. When my mother died, she held my hand and whispered, "You are the proof that the gods see all. Walk tall, my child, even when the world bows low." I buried her near the river, where the earth was soft and full of life. I sat there all night, listening to the sound of water moving over stones. The moonlight made the river shine like silver. I thought about the people who had hated me, who were now gone or broken. And I thought about the goddess who had saved me, only to leave me behind in a village of pain. Years went by. The curse became a story that parents told their children, a warning against cruelty. They said, "Never mock what you don't understand, or the river will remember." But even those born later carried fear in their hearts. No one dared to speak loudly near the river. No one laughed at anyone who looked different. The memory of the curse lived in every drop of water that touched the land. And me, I grew older, but my neck stayed the same, long, smooth, and proud. I learned to love it. I wore bright beads around it, red and blue, the colors of the sky and earth. Sometimes I danced alone by the river, feeling the wind move through my hair, and I imagined Mama Nyasa watching me. But peace never fully came. Deep inside, I missed what I never had, the love of my people, the warmth of belonging. I had been saved, but also left alone. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, I saw something glowing in the water again. I walked closer, heart trembling. The river whispered softly, "Amara, your time has come. You have carried pain and peace, now rest." I smiled, tears filling my eyes. "Will they ever be free?" I asked. The river answered, "When their hearts are clean." Then the wind rose, and the water wrapped around my feet, cool and gentle. I closed my eyes, and the world faded into light. The next morning, the villagers found my beads floating on the water. My body was gone. Some said the goddess took me to live among the stars. Others said I became one with the river. But from that day, something strange happened. The pain in their necks began to fade. Slowly, their necks shortened. The wrinkles disappeared. They could lift their heads again. Still, they never forgot me. They built a small shrine by the river and called it Amra's Bend. Every year, they bring flowers and water there and tell their children about the girl they once called Cursed, the girl who became their salvation. And sometimes, when the moon is full and the river is calm, they say they can see my reflection in the water, standing tall, my neck long and proud, smiling at the people who finally learned to see beauty in what they once feared. Because even after death, the river remembers.